When Gabriel Bortoleto uttered the words, "I can't follow anyone closely," after the Bahrain GP, it wasn't just another comment. It perfectly captured the crushing frustration of a driver trying to make the impossible happen with a car that simply can't keep up. In what initially seemed like a promising weekend, Bortoleto, after a smart strategy, intelligent reading of the race and solid positioning, found himself once again stuck in a race against not just the clock, but a car that was not delivering. Sauber's updates had promised so much, but as the race unfolded, it became clear that something crucial was missing. The race started with hope. Gabriel opted for a strategy that was different from most of the grid. While others began with soft tires, he chose mediums, a bold move meant to extend his first stint and capitalize on the soft tires' rapid degradation. The plan initially worked well. He moved up the grid, showing solid pace and taking advantage of pit stops ahead of him. At one point, he even briefly found himself in 12th place, impressing with his calm and controlled rhythm. But as we all know in Formula One, what looks good on paper doesn't always translate on the track. The Sauber's medium tires, which were supposed to carry him through the first part of the race, simply couldn't hold up. The car began to struggle, losing grip, especially in the restarts. Bortoleto was caught in a vicious cycle, every lap. The gap to those ahead of him kept growing, and no matter how much he pushed, the car didn't respond. After making his pit stop to switch to hard tires, he encountered yet another disaster. The grip was non-existent. It was like trying to drive on ice. The car dragged and slid through corners, and the frustration was written all over his face. Then a glimmer of hope appeared with the safety car. This could have been the moment to get back into contention. The track was resetting, and he was on fresh tires. This was his chance. But even after making another pit stop, putting on fresh mediums and restarting in 19th, things didn't improve. He couldn't gain any positions on track, only moving up after others retired or were penalized. The strategy was doomed from the start. Bortoleto's inability to make up any places highlighted the flaws in the car's setup. When Bortoleto said, "I can't follow anyone closely," it wasn't just about Bahrain. It was a statement that encapsulated the entire season so far. The car simply couldn't handle the pressure, and no matter how smart the strategy or how hard the driver tried, the car failed to give him what he needed. The deeper issue at play? A lack of aerodynamic efficiency and grip, which has been a consistent problem since the start of the season. This issue wasn't new to Bortoleto, and after the second pit stop, it was evident that he was fed up. The words, "I can't follow anyone closely," echoed through the paddock like a warning. A driver of Bortoleto's caliber knows when his car is holding him back. The frustration wasn't just about this race, it was the culmination of months of struggling with a car that couldn't perform under pressure. It's one thing to be behind your competitors because of strategy, tire degradation, or race incidents, but to be unable to even follow them properly. That's a whole different level of defeat. Even when the safety car gave Bortoleto a glimmer of hope, the reality was harsh. The car couldn't compete at the level needed to fight for positions, and it left the young driver in a position where, despite his best efforts, he couldn't make any real moves on track. His efforts felt futile. He wasn't just fighting for points, he was fighting against the very equipment beneath him. The feeling of helplessness set in, especially when comparing the pace of his car to the front runners, who were comfortably ahead with no significant problems. As Bortoleto finished 18th, it wasn't just a disappointing result. It was a telling sign of what was wrong with the car. He didn't make any dramatic mistakes on the track, and that's a sign of maturity. He understood his limits and the car's limitations. Despite everything, he brought the car home, but this race didn't end with a sense of accomplishment. It ended with the understanding that the real work was just beginning. He had no illusions about the situation. His candid comments about the car's performance were a message to the team and the paddock. The frustration was palpable and the message clear. We need a solution, and we need it fast. But what does all this mean for Bortoleto's future? His words spoke volumes, not just about the car, but about his growing sense of responsibility. He's no longer just a rookie trying to find his place. He's a driver who understands that the path to success in Formula One isn't just about performance, but but about pushing the team to deliver results. That's the shift we're seeing in Bortoleto. He's moved beyond the role of a talented newcomer to a driver who expects progress, accountability, and above all, results. The way Bortoleto handled the Bahrain GP with poise, despite the lack of performance, speaks to his maturity. This race didn't show us a driver who was content to sit back and let things happen. It showed us a driver who was beginning to demand more. He's still in the learning phase, but he's no longer just learning, he's figuring out how to take charge of his future. And it's this attitude that will eventually earn him the respect of not just his team, but the entire paddock. Despite the disappointment, Bortoleto took the opportunity to learn from his experience. This was a race where the result didn't matter as much as the lessons learned. He had to make the most of a flawed car, and even though he didn't gain places on track, he gained valuable insights into what needs to change. This experience will fuel his growth. Every race is a building block, and despite the setbacks, Bortoleto's path is becoming clearer. He's starting to figure out what it takes to succeed in Formula One, not just as a driver, but as someone who understands the complex dynamics of working within a team to make progress. His post-race comments and analysis reflect a level of awareness that many younger drivers lack. Bortoleto's maturity is evident in how he's handling the situation. The frustration is clear, but so is his determination to push for a solution. When he said, "We need to analyze everything and understand what's going on," it was more than just a driver's frustration. It was a message to the team that he's ready to be a key player in finding the answers. The pressure is on, and he's not afraid to step up. This race, while it might seem insignificant on the surface, with a finish outside the points, is far from that. For Bortoleto, Bahrain was a test of character. He didn't let the poor performance get the best of him. He stayed professional, kept his head down, and used the situation to gather the knowledge he needed to improve. The Bahrain GP wasn't a result-driven race for him. It was about adapting, understanding,